Ben Lytle, author of the Potentialist series. I've got your book here, The Potentialist 2, The Pursuit of Wisdom, all the way from Phoenix. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
Good. I'm great. Thank you, Wes.
So I want to talk about a lot of things. I don't think I've spoken to anyone that has founded a company now worth $120 billion. But Silver Sneakers, I've seen my mother-in-law do that.
Yeah.
You co-founded that.
So funny, Wes. I'm always, of course, known because Anthem, because it's the biggest. But I'm equally proud of Silver Sneakers because I didn't invent the product. A lady here in Phoenix did, but we helped her take it national and expand it into what it became. And with a company, Prevention and Wellness Company, my son founded. And I checked, I was just doing some research the other day, and those assets are still out there. They're worth $22 billion the last time they bought. A private equity company bought them for $22 billion. We sold a long time ago, but we did very well. But they've continued to grow. It's a beautiful product. I mean, it really is. And it was a transformative product at the time because nobody believed, the common belief was, seniors just want to go to the doctor's office and complain about. That's not true. I know it's not true because of people I know, but research that I had done said that 15% of any population, lower income, troubled countries, you name it, 15% are naturally predisposed to take good care of their health. You give them a way to do it, and they'll do it. And I said, well, it's got to work for seniors, and found this product that was proving it. And boy, we just turned it loose, and it went crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of it. So it's really a great product.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, you've got a great background. You've checked all the boxes, right? But I mean, you're going after something. Yeah, I was interested in picking your brain and playing devil's advocate here because to boil it down in a nutshell, you're saying wisdom is attainable by pretty much anyone.
And your potential is very important in that. And I think the first time anywhere I could find it, a very clear potential, definition of potential as I define it. It is freedom from the survivalist part of your ego, which is the negative part of your ego. That's a very important, you have to master that to ultimately be as wise as you can be. Now, you can master it in pieces. You don't master it overnight. But that's a part of that's one of the requirements. And that's why wisdom and potential are interrelated. And the wiser you become, the better you are at mastering your ego. The more you master your ego, the wiser you become. And so it's an organic process. That's really the trick. But yes, anybody can do it. It's not education dependent, age dependent, anything. There's good evidence for that.
So it's interesting what you're talking about, the survivalist side, because in marketing, I've always told people, and I've read it, I've lived it, if you have a positive experience, you'll tell 3 to 7 people. If you have a negative experience, you'll tell 15 to 21 people. Mm-hmm. And it is that survivalist, because if I go out and I eat the blue berries and I live, hey, no big deal. If I come back and my lips and eyes and everything's swollen, I go, what happened to you? And I draw on the cave wall, don't eat the purple berry. I mean, I've got to pass that on. I mean, we're tribal social creatures, right? So we're going to pass on the negative, because if we don't pass on the negative, we're going to die.
And the thing, the way a big part of developing wisdom and your potential is when you understand that you have these functions inside you, they are not you. You have a voice, They have certain characteristics, but they're functions. And just like your body has functions, and they are your psychological functions. And as the same as you would find, they're always, there are polar opposites. And the you, the easy part about beginning to learn this is the voice. You hear these voices. It's the guy that wakes you up in the middle of the night, just rips your head off about what a rotten SOB you are and how stupid you are. That's your shadow. And it's trying to tell you, hey, fool, it doesn't know what you are. It's telling you feel vulnerable to this kind of criticism. Ego's the one that, it has a lot of characteristics. One of his characteristics is more. Hurry up. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to. That's your survivalist ego. And it was created originally for us to survive in a very hostile world. We've evolved. Our external situation has evolved faster than it has. So it sees danger in something that really isn't danger. We react as if it is. So it has another component, which is an aspirational ego, and that's the good part of the ego. That's the part that's the can do, explore, conquer in a good way. And so we want to learn to subordinate that negative part and emphasize the positive part. And it's very doable. I mean, believe me, it's something that I've studied since I was 20 years old. I've gone through so many programs with it, seen it work for a lot of people. And the great thing is it can be accelerated as well. It doesn't take, it's a lifetime process. I don't mean it isn't, but you can accelerate and master a lot of wisdom in just a few weeks.
Interesting. Yeah. In today's day and age, it does have to be quick. Yeah, we have short attention spans. We're pulled in a lot of directions. I don't know, man. The world, or at least the world I have access to, seems very hectic and chaotic and negative and angry.
A lot of that, Wes, is part of a cycle we're going through. But granted, this is the period of greatest change in history right now. We're living it, and it's exciting. I find it exciting. We are living through the period of most profound and fastest change in human history. Change has been accelerating at the beginning of time, but it's continued to compound and accelerate. And technologies and forces and change forces like changing demography, like democratization. Those are all changing us faster. And Alvin Toffler, who wrote a book called Future Shock in 1970, and then two subsequent books 10 years apart after that, probably, I think, the greatest futurist I've ever known, at least. I was a protege in the sense of his. I designed Anthem a lot along his lines, and another public company, Acordia, using principles he espoused for how to master accelerating change, how to move faster than everybody else, and work. Anyway, so I got to know him, but he predicted every bit of this. And basically what happens when the pace of change accelerates, it also creates, and particularly with the technologies we have today, we're creating a lot of choices. We're becoming a bespoke society. It becomes more complex. It's wonderful to have all the things we have and all the devices we have, but you got to maintain them, right? And they break, and you have to coordinate them. And so all of that creates a sense of anxiety. And people don't talk about it much, but it's anxiety and fear of change. And then what happens is people become, they start seeking certainty. Certainty is an illusion. It's an illusion. It's one of the 25 cognitive or 20 some odd cognitive distortions of the ego. So it creates this illusion. I can find certainty. Well, there's no certainty in life, and there's no certainty in nature. It does not exist. Then what happens? People start demanding that certainty, and they start to go into extremes to find it. Extreme theories, conspiracies, and it's not real, but it's something that makes them feel like I've got it. That's my answer. And it's not. The answer is just the opposite. It's roll with the punches, adapt fast, stay optimistic. If you're fearful, you'll make bad decisions, guaranteed. If you are pessimistic, you'll step right over the opportunity while the other guy's picking them up and making a fortune with it. So that's just really fundamental, but it's absolutely provable. There's tons of good research around this. It's not only me saying this. I'm more what I'm trying to offer, very simple way to understand it in these 3 books, then a very pragmatic, prescriptive way. Here's how you face it. Because my books are prescriptive. They offer chapter verse practices. Here's how you get from here to there.
Yeah, my dad has always said, if you think you're desperate, you are.
It's well said. I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Like, take a breath, but I agree with what you're saying. Like anything can be learned, right? You can get tougher, you can get smarter, you can become more resilient. But you have to know it's out there. You have to know it's an option. I've done this podcast now since 2013, so coming up on almost 700 episodes. And I've talked to a lot of people that have done a lot of big things, but a lot of them, they had to hit rock bottom before they turned things around. So,
Like not to have to do that.
Yes,
I mean,
right.
it doesn't mean you're not going to have, one of the things about being wise is you learn, which God knows that many people write about this, that adversity is not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. So you have to start, not becoming a victim, not getting lost in, wow, things are hard. You have to say, wow, what's the opportunity here to learn and grow? And that changes your life just in and of itself. But yeah, it's really important in times like now, because there is a pattern. There's a pattern. There are periods of great change in the past. They were longer, not as fast, but they were intense for the people who lived through them. The Renaissance, Enlightenment. Go back and look sometime how many inventions came out of the Renaissance. Mind blowing. The Enlightenment, completely different thing about thinking about the world coming out of the religious wars in Europe in the 1600s. People began to realize, wait a minute, this isn't what we're supposed to do, and they changed. 3 prior industrial revolutions, and each time there was a significant adaptation required. The people that caught up on it, and that's historically, around 15% of the population, prospered. People didn't. And reason I wrote these books is we know what happens if you don't. And so that's why I said, here's what's coming. You don't have a choice about adapting. You don't have a choice about what's coming. It's going to hit everybody in the world, literally every human being on the planet. So why not adapt? And here's the way to do it.
So I just need to make an AI script that helps old people exercise. That's what I get from this.
There we go. There we go.
And they can pay for it with Bitcoin. That's it,
there
right?
There you go. There literally there's going to be so much opportunity. There is opportunity right now. I just came back from a conference in Silicon Valley. 500 people, most of them entrepreneurs, small businesses. Some incredible stuff coming in, very incredible. And it's not just technology. We've got medicine. We've got the opportunity with more older people. That's more and fewer younger people. We ought to take responsibility to coach them, teach them, help them accelerate their wisdom. They look to their elders. They do. Might not, but they do more than you'd think. So that's a good news thing. And more wealth being transferred than ever in history. Let's make sure we do it right. So that's the idea. A lot of good news out there. There's going to be always challenges, though, and there will be. But I think I'm confident we're entering a period, this new reality will be the age of expanding human potential. We're going to be able to do, if we live long enough, you'll live long enough, I'm going to do my best. But it's not going to take all 30 years, but over the next few years, we're going to be able to do things we could absolutely never imagine. More elderly, and we got more autonomous cars, more autonomous taxis. We're not stuck at home. We don't have to be immobile. Today, we don't have enough caregivers. We're 2 million caregivers short to take care of people the way we are. That will call for using AI and robotics to care for more of us. Probably do a good job, because they're endlessly patient.
Yeah.
So, and they don't forget. So,
Yeah.
So, it'll be a different world, but it'll be in many ways a better world. We're going to accelerate how we learn, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. I've lived a little bit of those recently. I've had some health issues. My mother-in-law, she's having her knee replaced, just got out of surgery today. My wife's been on ChatGPT like crazy. She has her PhD and her MD in ChatGPT in the last 60, 70 days. And it's been very good. It's been accurate. My son, he lives up near Silicon Valley. He's in San Francisco. But he's in that tech space. He's been in the crypto space, and he was home a couple weeks ago, and we got a 10-year-old, and she's feisty. And he busted out ChatGPT, and he's got the upgraded version and had it just talking.
I want to be real clear too. For your audience, the kind of AI that is on the market right now from big tech, not the kind that's going to drive industry, healthcare, medicine. They're still too inaccurate. They still expose your data to the internet. And they are what's called unbounded models. And the way a large language model works, the way AI works, the bigger the model references, the more chance for error, the harder it is to curate it for accuracy. The AI that will be the one that changes, that drives industry, education, most businesses, everywhere we need precision and consistency will be what's called a bounded model. And what that means is you only load the data into that function that you need for the answer. But it can be massive amounts of data. So, for example, I was part of and I founded an AI company, but we demonstrated a doctor recently, a real person, who is an internal medicine specialist. And for those that don't know, internal medicine is sort of the top of primary care. They have the most education, most training for primary care. They can also perform a lot of functions as a specialist that many other primary care disciplines cannot. On top of that, we loaded tons and tons of medical journals and board exams and all this stuff. And we turned turned a bunch of doctors loose, asking this AI doctor questions, and they were pretty well blown away. And so she has a persona, she has a lovely voice, she has video, and that's where we're headed. But I don't mean that we'll replacing doctors is not the idea. It's extending them because we don't have enough. And a lot of people don't realize we have a huge shortage of physicians in every specialty. We have 1 million nurses that we're short. Can't train them fast enough for the aging demands of an aging population. So we don't have any choice but to use AI and robotics, or we're going to go without care. It's just that simple. So, But it'll be this kind of controllable model that will augment a doctor so that things that he doesn't need to do or she doesn't need to do, they can delegate to this, and also a lot of patient education. That's what's going to be really helpful.
Yeah, that is good. My wife had, I think she was at a dermatologist a week ago, and the physician assistant that she saw, they were late seeing her and told her they have to see some ungodly number, like 56 patients. Like she did the math. It's like they can spend 8.6 minutes
Exactly.
with each patient.
That's what every doctor's facing. How can you possibly provide the best possible care that way? You can't. And so what you need is that doctors to have their face time doubled and tripled and quadrupled by taking functions off of them they shouldn't be doing, and by giving them a reference. For example, this particular doctor that I was referencing is a woman's health specialist. A lot of doctors, they're generally trained on women's health, but they don't know the specifics of women's health. So they could reference this particular AI version when they needed that reference. Or if you're training as an intern or a resident, you could reference these to enhance your training, because you could walk down the hall and talk to the wise doctor in the corner who'd been there, not anymore. Those guys are retiring and you don't have anywhere to go. So that's how we're going to make this work in healthcare. And the reason I'm talking so much about healthcare is it's the one where the shortages are really critical. They're entering I would guarantee you talk to almost anybody in healthcare, it's one of the number one concerns they've got is those shortages are here right now. And we're behind on getting AI solutions into healthcare. So and people are suffering as a result. Patients are not, taking a long time to get in and see a specialist, a long time to get an appointment, then it's a long time to get treated. A lot of problems out of siloed healthcare. If you're seeing 7 or 8 specialists, then they don't always talk with each other, and problems happen. Or the patient forgets to tell them different things. And so those are problems we've got to solve, and I'm talking about fast. Within the next 5 years, we can't let this go on.
Yeah. So for the average person listening to this, I mean, what do they take from this?
Well, I think first of all, stop looking for I don't care what a lot of what you read in the media about AI and robotics is just baloney. And it's trying to scare you because that's how they get you to read it. This is the Calvary. This is the savior for us in a declining, with the demographic changes we've got on. Fewer young people, more older people, living longer, young people growing up slower. We need these tools, or we're going to have a real problem, particularly in healthcare, but also in education and everything else, but particularly in healthcare. So in between now and then, so don't be afraid of it. Learn everything you can about it. When somebody claims they're an expert, ask them this question. You personally have an AI alter ego of you? They don't really understand it. And for everybody out there, very soon you're going to get the option to have your own too. Be an app on your phone, most powerful app you ever had. And because if you don't use them, it's like smartphones when they came out, or GPS. If you would have turned to your IT department and said, "What is this?" you'd still be using the BlackBerry. And and you'd be for using maps for GPS. You don't really get it until you use it. And then you use it for about an hour or two and you go, "Wow, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life." Well, that's what's going to happen when everybody starts getting their own AI and they start using it to make their life more productive, to organize it better. All the little junk we have to do, whether it's keeping track of passwords or it's making sure that our bills are paid properly or whatever it is, these things are going to help us manage our life. And it's going to, and what's most important in healthcare and in business, it's going to make us a lot more productive. Because, Wes, one other thing that I think is really important for your folks to understand, declining population worldwide Now, keep in mind, there's not a developed country in the world that's at replacement level on the population. One. Most are far below, as are we. And so in a world in which you have declining population, and by 2160, the only continent in the world growing will be Africa. That'll be on momentum. It'll be below the replacement rate as well. So in a world like that, with populations declining, how do you grow economies? And consumer spending is one of the big drivers. Answer is you can't unless you increase productivity faster than the rate of population decline. The only way to do that is AI and robotics. So everybody's got to get over it, stop being fearful, realize we got to have this stuff and we got to have it fast. And that doesn't mean there won't be bad people do bad things with AI, but it ain't the AI. You'll learn very quick using it. It's just a different computer application. It's not some magic that decides it wants to destroy the world. That's just not reality. Some human being might do that, but it won't be the automation. It doesn't have a mission, and it doesn't have a soul, and it doesn't have malintent. It has to be put there. Make sense?
Yeah. Yep. Well, I tried to make an AI of me, and it said no. It said one of you is enough. Now I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I shook it. I rebooted it. It didn't give me any different answers. So, what do you think?
That's funny. I like that.
It said, "I need a drink. I cannot answer that question. One of you is enough." And then it went on I didn't know AI went on a break. This thing went on a break. Then I started watching a movie and I forgot. So I don't know. Interesting. So, okay. So how does someone make an app of themselves? Because I know a lot of people, I've been in the tech space a long time. I'm friends with a lot of geeks. I'm connected to a lot of turds. Let's just call it what it is. They're, I don't know, 3 years ago, they were experts on NFTs and they had bored apes. And now they're AI experts. And I don't know, a few years from now, they'll be juggling experts. I don't know.
AI is here to stay. And
for sure.
Going back to your question, there will be companies probably starting next year, certainly the year after, that will allow you to create an alter ego. That's the name my company uses, but I call it a co-pilot. It's different though than Microsoft's co-pilot, so I don't really like that term. I don't really like twin either because it's not a twin. It's not you. It does some things better than you. It's got great, perfect memory, massive ability to analyze data, but it's not you. But it's a tool, and those will be available. It's just a matter of them being really ready for the big show. There's already people building them for industry, for companies, and people will decide whether they want one. They'll have several uses. You can just use it as a journal to keep a record of your life, pass it on to your kids and grandkids and great-great-grandkids you'll never see. And that may sound like, well, that seems like, I don't know whether I'd want to do that. Well, let me tell you, I would really encourage you to do that because every human life, the story of every human life has wisdom to pass on to future generations. Every life. We used to do it. Traditions and indigenous tribes, that's what we did. We passed on, the history of the tribe and the family through oral tradition. Well, this is like that, except it's really, it's accurate. It's as accurate as you make it. So that's one good function. Another function is taking stuff off of us that we really don't need to do. It's just that we don't have a good way to do it today, like cleaning up our inbox and responding to emails, some automatically, and getting rid of the others and making sure you don't see a lot of the others. It's things like being your own personal health record. So, good question. I keep asking, people in healthcare, why is it that the health record, which is ours, in the hands of providers, but not ours? We're the ones who need it. So that will become one of the functions you have. And you'll be able to capture all your health records, all your wearables. You get up in the morning, boy, I don't feel so good today. Or you get up, boy, I feel great today. I slept good. Your wearables are capturing it. You're journaling it. Now imagine, and when you go to the doctor, you turn the recorder on, so you might want to capture all this. And then you go to the next doctor, and he can say, before you ever get there, you give him access and say, go in and look at anything you want to. This is all about my health. Think about how much better that is than what we do today. And because that's where a lot of the breakdown in the silos in healthcare causes problem. We can't get a clear diagnosis. We can't get a clear treatment plan. We make mistakes. And doctors make mistakes, and we make mistakes. And so that's where that's the kind of application you'll want on this application.
Yeah. Well, and talking about like my health issues, I had never had a CAT scan in my life. And between September, 26th and the week after, I had 4, because nobody wants to look at anybody else's stuff. Oh, we don't know. We got to use our own machine. I'm like, what? We can't read that machine because it's like, what? Is this like 1985? 1990, 95, right? I got a Mac and a PC. They don't talk. Like, what is going on? And trying to relate.
I think we're headed there. But I do think this ownership of the health records a critical piece, and there's some others. And I'm old enough to remember when, as a matter of fact, I worked on one of the very first bank machines, ATMs, in the state of Indiana when I was I came up through technology. The thing was as big as a Volkswagen, about as noisy as they were back in the old days. And I remember when every bank had their own card, and they wouldn't share. So they started failing. After they put all these things in, they thought they were going to be great. People weren't using them. And finally, the banks were smart enough to get together and say, hey, let's create an automated clearinghouse. Let's take these things so we can all use one card, recognize one card. That was led to the founding of Cirrus and the other companies that do that. And of course, what happened? Boom, took off. You can get money anywhere in the world. And soon, now you can just tap it, and soon you just walk up with your phone and get it. You can already do that in a lot of places. So we're moving that way, but healthcare is dragging really slow because of what you said, the vested interests, the fact that people are very careful about giving up their turf. And so we got a ways to go. And the thing is, if we don't kick it in the gear, we're going to start seeing some very negative results. So I'm really hopeful people will they're rightfully cautious. You want your healthcare providers, you want your healthcare companies, hospitals, everybody involved to be cautious, not avoid decisions because there's risk. And the risk is not trying to create perfection, it's just being better than the human is. We can be as good or better as a human in those situations. Why the heck not? And do it now. So anyway, that's my hope. And it's not just healthcare. There are other industries moving slow, but there's others moving a lot faster too.
So what should our salespeople do, right? This is the sales podcast after all. What do our lowly, grinding away salespeople do?
I don't think of them as lowly. I mean, I've been a salesman myself, and that's what CEOs do. Really, you're selling your company, your ideas, and that's what an entrepreneur does. I've run large sales forces my entire career, so they were always my treasured vanguard. I always viewed as those guys. They're the ones out there with the flags and the lances charging ahead. often dragging the rest of the the logistics behind. So I think the biggest challenge, I'm guessing, it seems to be true in every industry right now, is that the sales cycles on all companies are slowing down as people are scared. They don't understand where we're going. Jesus, read my book. Read the book. It's only 88 pages. It tells you a lot. First 88 pages tells you a lot. But people would never admit it. A lot of people are very indecisive today and slow to make decisions because they're not sure where things are going. Well, they're not going to know. They're going to have to make some decisions and move ahead. For salespeople, it's really hard because now your sales cycles double, triple, quadruple, and yet you got the same quota. Or if you're in a small company, the company is going to go bust. It's going to run out of cash before it makes enough sales. And that's a terrible thing because the United States is what it is because we're the most entrepreneurial society in the world by a long shot. And that always meant in the past giving new ideas, new companies, small companies a chance. And it meant decisiveness and boldness. And you kind of have seen what's happened. Business got very cautious in the last few years. And so I'm hoping business leaders will help the salespeople. And for the salespeople, is trying to figure out a way around that sales cycle. So,
Yeah.
Would you agree? You talk to salespeople all the time.
Oh, very much so. That's why I'm asking these questions because they're real. I mean, these are the questions that I have. These are the questions that my clients have. It's so that's what I was saying. I wanted to play devil's advocate on this. Can people become wiser? First they have to be made aware that it's possible. Then, can you put the desire in them? Because we have a lot of stuff tugging at us. I call it pot porn and playoffs. It's the modern day bread and circus. There's so much entertainment. Like I'll get a few minutes, right? I'll go downstairs, get a bite to eat. I'm like, all right, I'll see if there's a movie on or something. I'll watch 30 minutes, 20 minutes of a show while I'm hanging out. I never watch anything straight through, right? And rarely especially with kids, I never watch it without my headset on because you got little ones running around like, whoa, where'd that come from? But, first it takes me 7 minutes to find the remote control because kids never put it back where it's supposed to be. Now I got grandkids. They really can't get mad at them.
Yeah, they're eating it. Yes.
They are eating it. But then there's so many apps. So we got this streaming. It's like, I just miss old school cable.
I tell you, let me try a couple of things because you asked a fundamental question. My guess is your audience, if I've spoken to, God, I don't know, 16, 20,000 people in the last 2 years on this subject. I'm guessing not a single person out there, or most people would agree, wisdom is the highest human achievement. And boy, if we could be wise, yeah, and everybody could get wiser and make better decisions and operate at their potential. Heck yeah. Okay, with them times, well, is this really possible? And let me give you some, because I'm a pragmatic guy. The reason I became a successful entrepreneur is I don't dream up stuff I can't do. All right, if I don't think I can do it, it doesn't make the list. So, first of all, a really good test against history. Always underestimate the human race, beginning with ourselves. A good example is a few hundred years ago, the elites, the people that be, and powers that be, and I would say probably most common people, didn't think that regular people, normal people, could be trusted with the ownership of land. It was all owned by the church and royalty. No, they don't know what they're doing. You can farm it, give us a share, we'll take most of it, but no. They can't be trusted. Later, why would they want to read? Why would they in the world want to read? Well, we tell them everything they want to know, but we've done okay. You go forward a few years, fully educated, public education. Why would we spend the money on that? Go a little further. Self-rule, 250 years ago. Self-rule was considered an absolute absurdity worldwide. You can't trust people. What would you do without a king or an emperor to tell you what to do? Now, we wouldn't even begin to, we fight back against that. So remember that we always underestimate each other, or underestimate. Second thing, for 600-700 years, the pursuit of knowledge and information has been what defines success. You did that, you're going to be a successful person. We've now done that. It's a commodity. It's all around us. It's the next logical step, learning to use it wisely, make good decisions, and live a better life for us and other people. So we are at that point, and this new reality creates the need, because we're going to have to make decisions human beings have never made before, ever. Our institutions we don't trust them enough anymore. They're not strong enough to advise us the way they used to. It's on us. And that's what potential wisdom is. It's an individual process. It's an individual decision. And you can do it. Do people waste or, spend too much time on entertainment? Probably. But we have to remember if you go back and look at the cycles of innovation, new innovations are always treated as toys. People overuse them, and then they get tired of them, and then they fall into their normal place. My dad was old enough to remember as a little boy, cars automobiles, the first automobiles going on the road. And he said when they first came out, people didn't follow any rules. There never were no rules. They just drove across lawns and fields and drove like crazy people for a few years until it settled down. Well, we're kind of in the crazy people on a lot of this stuff. But on the other side, too, you're benefiting from what I think is one of the most significant advances in adult learning, which is podcasts. Adults are figuring out that's the fastest way for me to learn. I can go to a podcast and I can learn just about anything I want to learn. Now imagine you as a podcaster can not only give your podcast and then say, now you can sign on to me, my 24/7, 365 version, and ask me any question you want, or go search any conversation you want based on the context of what you want to know.
Yeah.
It's podcasting 2.0. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, we're talking big picture, but we're coming up to the end. Let's talk small picture.
Yep.
Because I love everything you're talking about, and I love having the big picture. We need the big picture. We need big, lofty goals, right? But
But book 2 is a prescriptive book. It will tell you exactly how to do it and why. And by the way, it's got a 150-page practices manual.
150-page what?
Practices manual. Practices are in the book, but I pulled them out and put them in a practices manual so you could use it, make notes.
Yeah. Okay.
A prescriptive book, and it's all proven stuff. I didn't go out and make any of this stuff up.
Because I like practical things, give people, because it's great to have these big, lofty goals. And I pick on some of the new age woo-woo people with vision boards and whatever, but they have a place.
This is different. You understand? This is stuff that's been done for 2,500 years.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is that, but I'm saying I like to, once somebody has this big goal, it's like, okay, what do you do for the next 15 minutes to make that goal achievable?
So that's the thing about this. The first book gives you 7 specific skills you need to master for this coming reality. 7. They're all good things, been done before. It tells you used to have an option, now you don't have the option. Second is this will tell you how to develop your potential and become wise. What wisdom is and how you learn it and how you practice it. And it will take you no more than an hour a day, and not an hour solid, but a few 10-15-minute segments, and you can change your life. All up to you. And nobody's going to make you do it. Nobody's going to watch over you. But if you want to do it, you can do it. And I mean, there are some things you can learn that are very powerful and very fast. And it's not just the book. There's video out on my website, potentialistfuture.com, that if you have trouble with some of it, and like I said, within 6 months, you'll be able to have my alter ego coach you if you want.
Nice. So I'm going to have mine built. Okay. So then now there's going to be a shootout. It'll be like the Rock'em Sock'em Robots,
we'll start
right?
a whole nother podcast, your alter ego and mine.
You want Ben? You want Wes? You want Ben? You want Wes? Hey, look, they might make more money with yours, but they're gonna laugh more with mine. I'm just saying, okay? It's just that's what I bring to the world. I know my spot, okay? So I'm glad you mentioned your site. So potentialistfuture.com. I'm linking to some other resources as well, but for those that are listening, keep it simple, scroll down, hit the show notes, boom, there's the link, hop on that. And, cause from there, you link out to everything else, right? So why 2 years? All right. I see the potential, feel it in my bones. All right. This has been good. Now I got to go. I'm going to tell my wife she has homework. She can stop looking up healthcare stuff since now the two biggies are done. Say, well, this would be an interesting experiment. I'll say, honey, I need you to replicate me in AI. So we'll see what that reaction is. Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, Ben Lytle from Phoenix, the potentialist author. Thanks for carving out some time, man. It's been great catching up with you. Hey, have a great day.